So tonight we got to meet an NBA legend. Who was that?
Sir Charles Barkley.
Sir Charles Barkley. Is he knighted or something?
No, that's just a nickname, but it sounds pretty cool.
It does. So tonight he came back to Morehouse, first of all because he donated $1 million to our sports and journalism program, and also so he could talk about what he does at TNT or Turner Studios. Is it?
Yeah, Turner Sports, basically.
Yeah, Turner Sports, which is in Atlanta. And also he brought along the vice president of public relations, I believe.
Or something like that.
Something related to that. I'll fix that later. And yeah, he talked about a lot of stuff. He talked about Donald Trump. He talked about the NBA.
It was a wide range of topics he covered. But
he said that the Hawks suck, which actually kind of hurt my feelings.
Well, he only said true things, The Hawks do suck.
He also did say that there's a good chance we could get a ring just in NFL, so that gave me hope. But I have clips of the most interesting stuff he said, to me at least. So I'm gonna put that in here.
It was like growing up in Birmingham and all the stuff, Montgomery, Selma. So I'm very cognizant of that because of my mother and grandmother. They're the two most important people in my life. They both gone now, but starting at a young age, the year I was born was the church barman in Birmingham, and so I had to learn all this stuff. They didn't talk about it a lot on television, but my mother and grandmother talked about it all the time. So for me, once I got in a position to help, because people talk a lot about black and white, but really, America, the greatest place in the world. America, first of all, there is racism, always has been, always will be. But the problem we have in America now is economic racism. And as a black person, you're probably gonna grow up in a less fortunate neighborhood. You're probably not gonna go to a gooder school. So you already have two strikes against you. So you don't have the luxury of screwing around. That's pretty much, like I said, I always tell young black kids, you're going to work twice as hard. You can't make some of the same mistakes because, like I say, America, as much as they talk about it's divided by race, it's divided by economics. That's the biggest problem we have in this country.
You often say too, Charles, about the need for black professionals, black athletes to lend a hand because white America and other communities and other cultures are doing it for each other.
Yes.
And we are not doing it in the same numbers potentially as others.
I challenge all these guys. First of all, never tell anybody what to do with their money. They got to do their own thing. But I think when you're blessed, because I don't work any harder than you do. I just got a talent. You probably work harder than me, actually. But I want to bring as many people along with my journey as possible. I do. I want to bring as many people. I don't want to, at the end of the day, if all I got is a big old house, a lot of money, I think I missed the boat, to be honest with you. So my number one goal, I want to help as many young people be successful as possible because I got the means, and that's my number one goal.
Well, Charles, it's really commendable, and I just want you to know that Charles, in addition to helping Morehouse, recently gave a gift to Clark Atlanta.
I gave Clark $1 million and Alabama A&M and Huntsville $1 million because I understand that the historically black colleges have been struggling. And once I got to the point where I was secure financially, I said, and I was really proud to give Morehouse because I've been working here in Atlanta for the last 15, 16 years, and I've got to know a lot of Morehouse people. And then obviously the last few years I've been shooting a commercial with Sam and Spike. And then I worked with this guy, Clark, who was driving me nuts, Anthony. And I wanted to do something in Alabama where I'm from. I originally was not going to do stuff for Alabama because it pissed me off. Yeah, it's true. Because what happened was I went to them 20 years ago saying I would like to invest $25 million and help the city of Birmingham. And they have not helped me at all. So I was like, screw them, I'm not giving them anything. So finally I met a friend of mine said, man, you need to give some money to the Alabama HBU. I said, no. And he was on my case for 2 years. I said, okay, I'll give in. But eventually my goal, I think, if things keep going well for me, I'm not even sure how many historically black colleges there are total. But I like to keep expanding it every couple of years, to be honest with you. Because I know they've been struggling, and we don't know what this dude in the White House is going to do either.
That is a big factor.
Yeah, it's a big factor because, you know, I talk about economic racism. I wonder, a guy in his position, has he ever been around poor people or understand what it's like to be black or a woman or a poor white person or Hispanic? I wonder, has he ever been in that situation? And probably the answer, and I'm not calling him racist or anything, I'm just saying, you have to be around some people to experience what they go through.
Yeah, and that is important, you know, the ability to have empathy for others. And I think it's one of the most commendable things about the profession of journalism, because if you interview people, you're put in situations where you may be interviewing a grieving father for some reason, or even if it's a joyful situation where you're going to a school and you're interviewing 5 and 8-year-olds about what Christmas means. Is what you said really basically just instinctive and right off what you see in a game?
It's a combination of both. Like, number one, I played for 16 years, so there's nothing gonna happen in an NBA game that I'm gonna be like, I can react to it. I'm never gonna be surprised. Anything happen in an NBA game. What I'm doing right now is a pain in the ass, I will admit. I'm getting ready for March Madness. So I'm watching 3 to 4 games a day right now. Because we took another couple of weeks, and then me and Kenny quit the NBA for basically a month. And I'm looking at basically 100 teams, trying to get it down till we get to. We're so excited when the tournament actually starts, because now you have to look at an extra 10 to 15 teams, but they might make the tournament. When you get to the actual number, you're like, okay, thank goodness. But I've watched the top 25 teams probably 5 times since January the 1st.
5 times each?
5 times each, because you can't watch a team play once or twice, because it might have been, first of all, the early season they're playing teams that are not any good. Now your team is pretty much your team, so you have to watch them a couple more times. You know, your team that started in November, they're not the same in February. Like Duke, the 2 best players were out all season. They're just not starting to come back now. So now I'm very busy getting ready for March Madness.
Do you think Atlanta can earn a ring anytime soon?
Well, they gave away one Sunday. You know, I was, you know, being from Birmingham and being in Atlanta for the last, you know, basically 20 years, you know, I root for the Falcons. I don't think, other than the game I played in, I don't think I've ever been as depressed about a game. Like I was in shock Sunday. I felt so bad for the players in the city of Atlanta. And the good thing about it, they're a very young team. Julio Jones is a stud. Matt Ryan's a stud. They got 2 terrific young running backs. So I think they're going to have a chance. I mean, obviously the Braves are rebuilding, the Hawks stink. But the Falcons probably got a 5-year window where they're going to have a chance.
Can I ask my rapid fire question, which is, why do the Hawks stink?
You know, I'm not sure exactly what they're doing. To be honest with you. Yeah, they're not either. But they're not. They're just a decent little solid team, and they're not a threat to win the Eastern Conference, and so they're in trouble.
All right, next one. What is the most?
So a friend of mine sent me this book about mass incarceration of black men. Read this book, and I figured out why they had started doing that. Because the government is paying these, most prisons, people ain't know they're privatized. And they are paying these prisons $90 a day for prisoners. But the prison's actually only spending about $25 a day on a prisoner. We all want a business to make that type of money. So that's another thing you guys got to make sure you don't ever get involved in the judicial system. I mean, look, think about it. We laugh all the time because some of this stuff is crazy. You know, they got a lot of these people in jail on pot, and now it's legal everywhere. I mean, it's crazy. It's crazy some of the stuff that you young guys have to watch out for all the time. We got so many young black men in prison, and now in I think it's up to 7 or 8 states now you can smoke till your little heart's content. And that's unfair.
I'd say, you know, and too on the corporate side, Charles is right, there's not a lot of us, and we're up against a lot, but I always knew, you know, I was special and I was rare, so if they were gonna pay attention to me, they were gonna be paying attention to me and doing a really great job. So I was gonna stand out. If I was the only black woman in the room, or the only woman in the room, period, because it's sports, I was like, well, hell, I'm gonna put on a show then. I'm gonna impress them with working harder than everybody else. Reggie Miller is one of our announcers who we work with and we're close with, and it's the Reggie Miller mentality. He stayed after practice and shot the lights out and just became the best three-point shooter that he could. And I feel the same way, like maybe I'm not the most talented, but I can outwork you. And you've got to do that if you want to stand out. It doesn't always have to just be a burden. It can also be a blessing because they're paying attention anyway. So you might as well be the best and most qualified candidate who works in the door or the hardest.